The dinosaurs you've been picturing your entire life, the towering, roaring, scaly monsters with razor-sharp teeth and cold, reptilian eyes, might not look anything like what you think. And I promise you this, by the time we're done, the image in your head is going to change. You came here to find out what dinosaurs actually looked like, and you're going to get exactly that. But not in the way you expect. Because the truth isn't just different, it's stranger, more colorful, and in some cases, surprisingly adorable. When most of us imagine a dinosaur, we see something straight out of a blockbuster film. Massive muscles, thick, leathery skin, a terrifying roar that shakes the ground. Museums don't help much either. We walk in, look up at gigantic skeletons stretching toward the ceiling, and our brains automatically fill in the blanks. Bone structure becomes gray skin. Empty eye sockets turn into fierce predator stares. A rib cage transforms into a monster. But here's the thing. Skeletons don't tell the full story. If thousands of years from now someone discovered only human skeletons, what would they assume about us? They wouldn't know our skin tones. They wouldn't know our hair color, our hairstyles, whether we had beards or freckles. They wouldn't know our expressions or how we carried ourselves. They would see bone and guess the rest. That's exactly what we've been doing with dinosaurs. For decades, paleontologists imagined dinosaurs as giant reptiles because that's what their bones most closely resembled. Reptilian hips, reptilian skull structures, reptilian teeth. So naturally, we reconstructed them as oversized lizards, cold-blooded, scaly, green or brown, dangerous. But science doesn't stay still. In recent years, fossil discoveries have completely reshaped our understanding. Some fossils weren't just bones. They preserved impressions, fine details in rock that revealed something astonishing. Feathers. Not just tiny fuzz, not random strands, full feather structures. That discovery alone flipped the script. Many theropod dinosaurs, the group that includes famous predators, likely had feathers covering their bodies. Some may have had fluffy coats. Some may have had wing-like arms. Some might have looked more like giant ground birds than reptiles. And if that sounds strange, remember this: modern birds are direct descendants of dinosaurs. Every pigeon, every eagle, every chicken is part of that same evolutionary tree. In other words, dinosaurs never fully disappeared. They evolved. Imagine shrinking down the terrifying image of a raptor and adding colorful plumage. Imagine a predator not as a dull gray reptile, but as something bright, patterned, maybe even iridescent in the sunlight. Scientists have even found microscopic pigment structures in fossilized feathers, suggesting that some dinosaurs may have had reds, blacks, blues, or even striped patterns. We didn't just underestimate how they looked, we misunderstood their entire vibe. Take behavior, for example. Pop culture trained us to think of dinosaurs as constantly roaring, fighting, and hunting, always aggressive, always dramatic. But fossil evidence suggests that many species were social. Some traveled in herds, some nested in colonies, some cared for their young. That's not the behavior of mindless monsters. That's complex animal life. And the surprises don't stop with dinosaurs. History is full of things we think we know, but don't. Consider the Vikings. Popular imagery shows them wearing horned helmets, huge curved horns sticking out from both sides. It's iconic, it's dramatic, it's everywhere in movies and shows. But historically, there's no solid evidence that Vikings wore horned helmets in battle. Think about it logically. Would you want large handles on your head that an enemy could grab during combat? The horned look likely came from 19th century artistic interpretations and stage costumes, not real warfare. Then there's Napoleon. For years, he's been labeled as unusually short, almost comically so. Napoleon complex became a phrase. But in reality, his height was around 5'5", which was average, if not slightly above average, for Frenchmen at his time. The myth likely spread due to differences in measurement systems and political propaganda. It's fascinating how easily images stick, especially when they're dramatic. Back to dinosaurs.
For a long time, scientists assumed they were cold-blooded, like modern reptiles. That meant sluggish, dependent on external temperatures, slow-moving. But newer research suggests that many dinosaurs may have been warm-blooded, or at least had metabolic rates closer to birds than reptiles. That would make them more active, faster, more energetic than previously imagined. Now think about this shift. The creature once imagined as a giant, scaly, sun-basking lizard might actually have been a fast-moving, feathered, brightly colored, socially complex animal with bird-like metabolism. That's not a small correction, that's a total rebrand.
Even the famous Tyrannosaurus rex, long shown as a naked-skinned apex predator, may have had feathers at certain life stages or on parts of its body. While larger adults might not have been fully feathered due to size and heat regulation, juveniles almost certainly had fuzzy coverings. Picture a teenage T-Rex with fluff. It's not quite the nightmare fuel Hollywood sold us. And color, we're still uncovering clues. Fossilized melanosomes, tiny pigment-containing structures, have allowed scientists to make educated guesses about dinosaur coloration. Some may have been camouflaged. Others could have been flashy, using color for mating displays or social signaling, much like modern birds do. Which makes sense. Evolution tends to reuse successful designs. But here's something even more mind-bending. The way we measure things often shapes what we believe. Take Mount Everest. It's considered the tallest mountain in the world because it rises about 8,849 meters above sea level. That's the key phrase, above sea level. But if you measure from base to summit, Mauna Kea in Hawaii is actually taller, stretching over 10,200 meters from its base on the ocean floor to its peak. Most of it is underwater, so we don't think of it as the tallest, but technically, it is. Perspective changes everything. The same thing happened with the English alphabet. There was a time in ancient Rome when the letter Z was removed from the Latin alphabet because it wasn't used frequently enough. For about 200 years, it disappeared. Later, it was reintroduced due to Greek influence. Even something as fundamental as the alphabet isn't fixed forever. So why would our image of dinosaurs be immune to change? The truth is, early dinosaur reconstructions were limited by the knowledge and technology of their time. Paleontologists worked with what they had, mostly bones. Skin impressions were rare. Feather impressions were even rarer. And once a particular image becomes popular, especially in films and media, it cements itself into public imagination. When Jurassic Park brought dinosaurs to life with groundbreaking effects, it defined how a generation pictured them: massive, scaly, terrifying. It was revolutionary and scientifically accurate for its time. But science has moved forward. If those films were made today, many dinosaurs would likely look very different. Dinosaurs went through the same process, just over a longer timeline. We built an image from incomplete evidence. That image became dominant, and now, slowly, it's being corrected. What's incredible is that the real versions may be even more fascinating than the fictional ones. A feathered predator sprinting across ancient plains, communicating through color displays, protecting its nest, moving with bird-like agility. That's not less impressive. It's more complex, more alive. And think about this. If you saw a cassowary in the wild, a large flightless bird with powerful legs and sharp claws, you'd probably be intimidated. Now, imagine its ancient relatives scaled up and armed with evolutionary advantages honed over millions of years. The line between monster and bird isn't as wide as we once thought. So, what did dinosaurs actually look like? Many were feathered, some were fuzzy, some were brightly colored, some had crests, frills, and display features, some were likely sleek and partially scaled. It depended on the species. Just like mammals today range from whales to bats to elephants, dinosaurs were incredibly diverse. We simplified them into one look. Reality is far more varied. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway here. Whether it's dinosaurs, historical figures, mountains, or cultural icons, we tend to latch on to dramatic versions of the truth. They're easier to remember, easier to visualize, more entertaining.
So the next time you picture a dinosaur, don't just see a gray, scaly beast roaring in slow motion. Imagine feathers catching the sunlight. Imagine color patterns shimmering. Imagine social groups, nests, and behaviors closer to birds than to reptiles. Because what dinosaurs actually looked like isn't just a correction to an old drawing. It's a reminder that science is always refining the picture, and that sometimes the truth is more astonishing than the myth.